We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. God dog it, Zach, it's good to be back. It is good to be back. It is time to, I'm telling you, to strap on that chin strap, put in your mouthpiece, and go clap some Tide cheeks. I've had an entire week of reminiscing. Getting ready for the Tigers to take hold and take over. It is very, very good to be back. Yes, we missed a lot of last week as we were supposed to have a baby this Wednesday. But no, Miss Jewel had to come during the bye week because she wanted to watch the Tigers clap up on some Tide cheeks. It's true. But yes, mama's doing well, baby's doing well. 6 ounce, literally 6 pound, 15 ounce baby girl. Giving her mother and I a little scare Monday night after the show. Brother just got done editing video, closes the computer. Megan comes in there and says, "Hey, it's time to go to the hospital." Buddy, I tell you what, Daddy was shit shower shaved and ready to go. I was out the door. I was ready. Were you? But let me say this. I want to give a thank you to Pooh Bear and Ant who took over the Wednesday show. I'm glad that they were able to do it. I greatly appreciate Ant and Pooh Bear for doing it. Zach said, "Oh, Mr. Blake, I got a date. Oh, it's Halloween week. Oh, I got a date. Oh." Couldn't even step in for a brother when I needed him most. "Oh, Mr. Blake, I got to go on a date with a sexy girl." Oh. Anywho, it's good to be back. I see a lot of people in the congratulations are in the chat saying congratulations. Jamar, AJ, Go, Paul. Thank you guys so much. And Delton with a $50 super chat, he says, "For the new baby, I'm going to need it. I heard girls were expensive." Thank you so much, Delton. I greatly, greatly appreciate you doing that and sending that to us. I promise you, my wife definitely appreciates you doing that. So we do got a lot to get into tonight. It is Bama week. Let's preview it. Let's talk about it. What are some things that LSU, without question, and Zach, you can put those up there, and I'll get to as many of them as I can. Thank you all guys so much, and girls, for those. But let's talk about that tonight. Let's talk about what LSU, like, there's no questions. Like, they're going to have to do at least these 3 things to beat up on the Tide this upcoming Saturday night in Death Valley. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We'll talk about that throughout the show. Something I didn't have in the notes, but we are going to talk about it as Blaine Smith brings it here. He said Harsin got fired. Auburn got them a new AD. Will it be prime time? I think it's a long shot, but I will say this. When there is a coaching move or fire, the ripple effect around the country goes about. Meaning, Auburn fires Bryant Harsin. Hypothetically, if Lane Kiffin is their guy, well, then somebody's going to have to go to Auburn. Obviously, that would be Lane Kiffin in this scenario. Well, then somebody's got to go to Ole Miss. I don't think that Deion would ever coach at Ole Miss. I think he would stay at Jackson State, but you get my drift. There's so many different scenarios that get played out here. But I will say this before we get into that too. We will talk about that before Carter the Power Bryant joins us. Primetime went on College Game Day Saturday morning and stated he will always listen. He will always entertain. Auburn fires their head coach. I don't believe in coincidences. Just a personal thing. I really don't. If something happens in life and they're related to one another, I just don't believe in coincidences, especially if they're too easy. This one kind of feels too easy. Does Deion leave Jackson State? I doubt it, but we'll see. Money talks, and you know what walks, and especially on a tightrope. So we'll touch on that as well. I mentioned him, but Carter the Power Bryant joins us at 7:30. We will talk about LSU and Alabama, some of the film that he broke down, some things that he thinks that LSU's got to do to win this game this upcoming Saturday. We will touch on all of those. Also, didn't put this in the notes either. We will talk about the massive week in the SEC. We got Tennessee and Georgia. Obviously, we have LSU and we have Alabama. So the SEC West title is pretty much up for grabs this week. So is the SEC East title. We'll touch on that. And the Saints absolutely blanked the Las Vegas Raiders. If we have time tonight, we'll get to it. And if not, we'll get to it. We'll get to it tomorrow. Get into a couple comments, though, before we get started. Dip says Auburn wants Bill O'Brien. It will be the dumbest move that they ever make. It would be the dumbest move that they ever made. And he's not. I would venture to say if any assistant that has ever been, especially a coordinator that's ever been with Nick Saban that would go to Auburn, it wouldn't be Bill O'Brien. It'd be Lane Kiffin. I cannot see Bill O'Brien going to Auburn. No. Because I will promise you this: Bill O'Brien would not want to recruit at that against Saban in that state at that high of a level after being a head coach in the NFL. He wants to recruit quarterbacks and some guys. He doesn't want to recruit like that. You're going to need a massive recruiter, and I will tell you this: because Lane Kiffin can't bring Ed Orgeron back to Ole Miss. He just can't do it because obviously Ed was the head coach there. He just can't go back there. I mean, it's kind of like an unwritten rule, right? Lane could bring Ed Orgeron to Auburn. What he would be, what he would do, I don't know. Would he want to be on the field? I don't know. Does Ed want to be a head coach? I mean, all these questions, I don't know. You get Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron at Auburn, they're a problem. They are a problem, whether you like to hear that or not. Oh, Ed Orgeron this, Ed Orgeron that. They would be a problem, I promise you. So, look, and somebody brings this question up here. Jamie says, could Prime recruit at Auburn? You're damn right he can recruit at Jackson State. Guys, he got the #1 overall recruit to go to an FCS school, an HBCU school. And that's not a shot at HBCUs or FCS schools. It's never happened before. You're damn right he can recruit. Because Travis Hunter is not the only human being on planet Earth that would see Deion Sanders and want to do it. The question is can he get a good enough staff around him that can recruit at a high level? Those are all good questions. But I will tell you, I have more confidence in Deion Sanders getting a competent staff around him more than Brian Harsin in the SEC. Deion understands the South. Deion's lived in Atlanta. He's lived in Dallas. He knows the South. He was in Tallahassee. He knows the South. Brian Harsin had never eaten a thing of crawfish a day in his life before going to Auburn, and somebody fed it to him on the way to Louisiana. The man has no idea what the South is about. You know that, and I know that. You know that, and I know that. Kenny says Matt Rule would be a good choice at Auburn. I am not a Matt Rule fan. I think he's I just don't like him. I think he's one of those guys that you hire him and then you fire him in a couple of seasons. You're like, oh, I thought Matt Rule was a good coach. Bullshit. He's not a good coach. He won at Temple. He won at Baylor. He keeps leaving. He doesn't sustain. He has one good year, he leaves. Can he sustain? Guys, I'll tell you this, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin is probably going to have another 10-win season. We're seeing Lane sustain and have success. I would take Lane Kiffin because he knows what it takes in the SEC versus Matt Rule. Give me Kiffin all day long. Okay, let's get this thing rolling, y'all, though. Let's get this thing started. Let me, though, talk about my good friends over at Synergy Resources. Go to their website, RESLLC.net. Give my good buddy Tully a call. Again, at Synergy Resources. We'll be talking about them a lot throughout the year. They're sending your boy over some merch, so Give them a call. Let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Their good friend. Again, ask for Tully if you go to the website or you give them a call. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, Zach, let's get to our first break. We got a lot to talk about. Let's talk some LSU. Let's talk some Bama. Let's get to it. Next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Vardo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Vardo & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, I forgot to say this. Zach, this is the rustiness that you have when you miss a couple of episodes. All right, everybody, stop, collaborate, and listen. Everybody hit the like and share. If you're on Facebook, so many of you are watching us live right now on Facebook. Hit the like button, hit the share. Share to your own social media pages. Share to those Facebook groups. If you're listening to us on YouTube, you got one more day. We didn't get the goal, but if we get to 5,000 subscribers, I'm giving somebody $300. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. We greatly appreciate all of you that do that for us. Also, want to give a big shout out to our good friends over at the TuneIn app. This will be live on radio. Go to the TuneIn app, Believe Sports. Type in tunein.com/believe, and you'll see us. My big ass face will be on there somewhere. So we are live right now on the TuneIn app. We greatly appreciate them and the partnership that we have with them. Okay, Zach, I need you to do me a favor. All the good comments, I need you to just go ahead and star. Okay, because I got to get to this LSU Alabama. We have to talk LSU Bama. It's here. It's the week. I said this last week. I said it the week before. I'll say it again this week. And you're probably like, Blake, stop. Stop it. Move on. I will say this. No matter what happens for the rest of the season, I still believe LSU is going to beat Arkansas. I still believe they're going to beat Texas A&M. I still believe that they're going to beat UAB. I still believe that they have a very strong chance to finish this season 9-3. That's where my new projection is, 9-3. If you would have told me, though, in the beginning of the season that you're going into the Alabama LSU week and it's going to be for the SEC West title, guys, I would have taken it. I'm taking it now. What Brian Kelly is doing, what Brian Kelly is building, quite honestly, is astonishing. The culture is changing. The vibe around the program is changing. The front office and the AD's office is changing. What Brian Kelly is doing in research and injury and technology is changing. It has a more technological feel and an advancement that we've seen at LSU maybe ever. Armani Goodwin, one of your really good running backs, tears his hamstring. Brian Kelly and his team do something very innovative, has a small procedure, gets back on the field, he's ready to go. Guys, this time last season, not only did you have opt-outs, and you are playing for the SEC West title, and I get it, but you have guys like Jack Best returning. You have guys like Major Burns, who Brian Kelly announced today that will be returning. It's a massive deal what's being built with this culture. Brian Kelly also alluded to this today. Guys, I want to build through high school and recruiting. Are we going to have to go through the transfer portal? Are we going to go through the transfer portal? Absolutely. Guys, he's doing this with not even a big roster, meaning he's at 64 scholarship dudes that are healthy, or 66, healthy and ready to go right now. What happens when he gets to that 80 number? Things will be better. They should, in my opinion, maybe LSU is a little bit ahead of schedule. They're going to continue to get there, but there is a game Saturday for the SEC West title. LSU, Alabama, prime time, Saturday night in Death Valley. There's 3 things, I promise you, 3 things LSU has to do. Now, when I say this, you're going to be like, well, duh, Blake, you got to do this to win any game. But it is extremely imperative to do these 3 things to beat Alabama, because we saw Texas almost beat them. They were doing it before Quinn Ewers went out. We saw Tennessee in a victory do it. It's just what you have to do. 2 weeks ago, or a little less than 2 weeks ago, Mississippi State got away from it. They got blanked, pretty much. The number one thing LSU has to do, and they don't have to really change anything. That's the good thing in all this. They don't have to change anything. What LSU has to do, guys, you got to hit at minimum 4 deep shots down the field. And what are deep shots? I'm talking about explosive plays. You have to have 4 passes that you complete 20 yards and above. And you can sit in that 18 range. The reason Tennessee beat Alabama, the reason that LSU beat Alabama in 2019, the reason you saw Texas continue to stay with Alabama is because Nick Saban, and I promise you, as a guy who was a defensive coordinator at Southeastern, where I'm from, where I graduated, and in Pete Golding's system, when you start hitting them down the field, and you start going vertical instead of side to side, that is how you expose Alabama. You can pop in any film. You can watch anything that Nick Saban has ever done. When you start hitting passes down the field, a la Joe Burrow, who was probably, they've already kicked off right now, and Pooh Bear and Zach keep us informed in that game and that score. But you saw Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have that connection down the field. Hopefully Joe does good without Jamar this week. That's a completely different topic. If you continue to do what you're doing on offense with Jaden Daniels, this offensive line, these running backs, these receivers, guys, I promise you, you're going to win. But you have to execute. You got to have just, I'm not even going to say marginally, the success you've been having. You got to have the success that you've had the last 2 weeks. Is Alabama a better team than the teams that you've seen the last 2 games? Yes. They are better than Florida, clearly, and they are better than Ole Miss. You've had a week to prepare for them. Going into this, you'll have 2 weeks. Some things that I'm hearing around the program, your quarterback that you probably bashed over the last, let's say, 9 weeks or at least 7 weeks before Florida and Ole Miss, has been in that film room because he understands what it's going to take down Goliath. You can say, well, boy, Alabama's got a loss. They're not Goliath. And excuse my French. Now, you didn't hear that because I blanked it out. But I said, your quarterback's been a leader this week. I see some things in the chat. I'll throw this one out there. Yes, Jaden Daniels this past 2 weeks has had ice in his veins. You're going to have to complete passes down the field. You have to continue to do what you're doing. Either you're going to complete them to Booty, which later this week, I'm going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on this Kayshon Booty versus Eli Ricks matchup. Inject it in my veins. Blake Booty's lost a step. All right. You're about to find out what Kayshon Booty, Bryant Thomas, Malik Neighbors, what those dudes are made out of. I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm that wide receiver room and I see number 7 across from me, I look at Jaden Daniels and say, look, you got to do what you got to do. Let's win the football game first. But if I'm wide open and it's a 50-50 ball, you throw it right at me because Eli Ricks is mine. Bring that shit here, boy. Pause. But that's what I'm telling him. Like my name's DC Youngfly. Bring that shit here. Brian Kelly's got this team believing. Either you're going to get a PI with Brian Thomas Jr. or he's going to come down with that bitch. I'm just telling you right now. Sorry I didn't like that one out. Number 2, don't get cute and fancy. Do not get cute and fancy. LSU has found their identity offensively. That's running the football. Don't believe me? There is a guy who literally said it today, and his name's Nick Saban, on his little Rudy Poo birthday. We have to find a way. We have to find a way to slow down Jane Daniels. That's not me saying it. Go listen to him. What has given Nick Saban problems legitimately in all of his losses? Extremely great quarterback play. You're going to need it from JD5. You're going to need it. He's got to be your catalyst. You got to run the football with him in the backs. You got to do extended handoffs. You got to throw to the backs out of the backfield. You got to get creative. You got to be physical up front. Don't be cute. Run what you do. Be physical at the point of attack, and don't get away from the run. If you get away from the run, you're going to lose. Ask Tennessee about how that happened. I promise you, this front seven that everybody fears at Alabama, Will Anderson included, when you take it to them, they can bow down. I saw Texas and Tennessee take it to number 31 for Alabama, and him not. Guys, what do you remember Will Anderson's name being brought up against Tennessee? No. Why? Because they brought it right at. They weren't scared of Alabama. You got to be consistent. You got to run the football. Last and not least, and we'll get to keys to victory on Thursday, but here is the ultimate thing for me. The ultimate thing for me, and we're going to go on the defensive side of the ball. You got to tackle in the open field. Guys, if you are sloppy tackling and you let Alabama get loose, it's going to be over. Well, duh, Blake, you got to tackle. You're not listening to what I'm saying. When they throw these little screen routes, which they do religiously, when they give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs, you're going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups. Everybody on that defense that's going to play at some point is going to have one-on-one matchups with their running back. I promise you. That's just how they spread the field out. Defensive line either is going to run interior zone or it's going to run inside zone. They're going to run outside. They're going to throw them the ball out of the backfield. At some point, you're going to have a chance to go up against probably the best running back in the conference. If you're not surely around him and wrapping up and gang tackling him, he's going to make you look like a fool. High effort, high intensity. It's like what they said on Remember the Titans. I don't want them to gain another yard. You got to have that intensity. AJ said that Burrow just threw an interception. Damn it. Pooh Bear says my outfit is ass. So I want to bring him up here and let y'all see his outfit. Pooh Bear, what are you dressed as right now?
I'm milking cookies.
Milking cookies.
And we got Master Chief from Halo right here.
Okay, what's up, Dilly? I like it.
Yeah.
Hi. So. I'm milking. Can you before you leave out of here? Can you say milk and cookies?
Milk and cookies.
That's going on the internet. That's going all over the internet. Now I'm going to bring up Zach. It's weak.
I'm an LSU fan. That's
Zach, do this. Yeah, you look like you look like Dr. What's his face? You look like Dr. What's his face? LGZ needs to log off. He said chocolate milk poo. God damn it. That's funny right there. Okay. I couldn't help myself. I had to bring up Pooh Bear. I'm looking backstage. The man's got milk and cookies as his costume. Zach over here looking like a youth pastor from 1987. Oh, God. I'm Brian Kelly, actually, believe it or not. I drove a Tesla here to the studio. I drove a Tesla. Oh, God. Milk and cookies. Pooh Bear, I swear to God, if we win this week, I'm blasting that all over the internet. This is the reason why LSU won. I will say this. I do want to talk around the SEC for the 3 minutes before we get to Carter Bryant. We're going to spend a lot of time talking LSU Bama with him. I want to say this. Louisiana teams that we follow and love, a.k.a. the Saints, since my baby Jewel was born, they're 1-0. The last time a Ruffino was born in this household, 2019 LSU. Ben didn't know what it was like for a long time to lose to Alabama. Just saying. I give all that credit to Ben and my wife. That's what I do. Okay. I want to get to this very quickly around the SEC. Then we're going to get to Carter Bryant. Guys, listen, it's the biggest weekend, in my opinion, in all of college football. Your SEC West title, we talked about. The SEC East title in Georgia and Tennessee. If I'm Tennessee or if I'm a Tennessee fan, I feel a little bit duped here in a sense. Like, bro, you really think Georgia's going to beat us by 8? I don't understand the disrespect for Tennessee. Like, I legitimately don't. That game will probably be a touchdown if I had to assume the spread at kickoff. I just don't know. I mean, Georgia's defense is really good, but Tennessee's offense, man, they are ridiculous in what they do. They can throw the ball all over the field. They can run the ball. Guys, you can say Kentucky is ass, okay, and they beat Kentucky handily last week. You are not supposed to beat a top 15 team like that. Now, is Kentucky a top 15 team? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. But I got to say this. I feel as if Tennessee is going to win. But if Tennessee does lose and Alabama wins and Alabama somehow, some way finds a way to beat Georgia in the SEC title game, I am not the person who's an SEC complete homer, but there's not going to be another two one-loss teams in the country, or really any teams in the country that deserve to be in a play. Clemson does not deserve to be in a playoff over Tennessee. Guys, at the time, they had faced three top 15 teams at the time that they played them. LSU's number 15 right now. Look what they did to them. Kentucky was 15th last week. Look what they did to them. Look what they did to Alabama the week before that. The only team in between all of that, they had a bye week, sure, but the only team in between that they faced was UT Martin. If you want to talk about deserving something, Tennessee deserves to be the number one team in the country, because look at what they've done in their schedule. This is their last tough game. They get over Tennessee. I think they can run the table. Okay. We'll get to your comments in just a quick second. We got them all starred up. We'll get to them. But I do want to get to our good buddy Carter the Power Bryant. Do us a favor if you haven't done so already. So many of you listening to us live right now on Facebook. Hit the like and share. Share to all of those Facebook groups. If you're listening to us on YouTube, share to Twitter and all that good stuff as well. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. Okay, let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. We'll be back in 45 seconds with Carter, the Power, Bryant, talking LSU Bama. Next. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast, as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. You look like the Tiger King.
Let's go, Blake. It's Alabama week. It's
You look
here.
like the Tiger King. That's who you look like. What did he used to say? What was the big line in the Tiger King? What was he famous for saying?
Carol Baskin.
That bitch.
No, what's
All
up,
right.
man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Okay, the Smoothie Prince is with us. Carter, I said that there were 3 big things that LSU's got to do to win. Okay, I think they can beat them. I'm just there, and everybody says I'm crazy. Do I think they're going to win? But they can. Where are you at with this? Well, I mean, when you break this down, where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, they can. There's a reason why this game is a double-digit point favorite. Alabama, of course, they got the legendary coach. They have the quarterback. A lot of you are very familiar with those two. And then it's not just those two. It's Will Anderson. It's guys that we talked about, honestly, Blake, before the season even began, leading up into this week. And it's funny, when I was at LSU, I had a really good relationship with Patrick Peterson, right? And every week he would always say how much everybody in that locker room just looked forward to playing Alabama, right? And it's tough because both teams obviously had the bye week, and you have the distraction of all the Halloween parties over the weekend. So LSU players are pretty much accustomed to this. We are accustomed to having these bye weeks before. And obviously, Blake, if you just look at the roster from top down, you look at the different position groups where LSU is strong and weak, where Alabama is strong and weak, it does seem to even itself out, especially, if you factor in the true freshman that LSU has been playing at a high level. So we will see, but I do agree with you. This is very plausible for LSU to go out and win this game.
LSU's got to have superior play from JD5.
Yeah.
That's how you beat Saban. Carter, I still believe he can do it. What are some keys though? Like, what are they gonna have to do? Like, is there something that they have to, like, my thing for them defensively, all 11 dudes is gonna have a shot to take down Jahmyr Gibbs. When you're one-on-one with him, you don't have to necessarily tackle him, but you gotta slow him down at minimum. Because if not, Carter, they're going to eat LSU alive. Is there something that is like the end-all, be-all that LSU has to do to win this game, though?
Yeah, and I see some Tennessee fans in the chat. I see, obviously, a bunch of Saints fans in the chat. And obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs and Alvin Kamara are basically the same player. I mean, the way that they look, they both wear the turf tape on the back of the arm, the way that they play, They really are carbon copies of each other. And I felt that
One
way.
just breaks tackles a little bit more, and Gibbs, I would say, is a little faster. Is that fair?
No, yeah, it's definitely fair. And Gibbs was phenomenal versus Tennessee. I mean, he's just been phenomenal for him. And coming out of high school, I felt that way about him. There's a reason why Ed Orgeron, really made a push for him. But, he's special. There's no other way around it. Obviously, LSU's linebacker play has been really good this year, mostly Micah Baskerville. I think, Blake, one major key is going to be the other linebacker spot. Will Greg Penn play at a high level versus Alabama? And I think that is going to be huge because Alabama's done a really good job of isolating Gibbs in the passing game versus linebackers. It worked big time versus Texas. It's worked big time versus Tennessee in big spots because as a lot of your viewers, Blake, probably know, Alabama's wide receivers. This is the weakest group that Saban's had in quite some time at this position.
Maybe ever. Would you agree with that? Maybe ever?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, since Saban has been there, this is probably his least wow group of wide receivers. Now, there's still a top 5 group in the SEC, but
Agreed.
there is no Jameson Williams out there.
There's no Amari Cooper. There's no Julio. There's no Judy or Smith.
Yeah, and the kind of scary thing about that, Blake, is LSU secondary, they have regressed some. Notice I said some. There have been some explosive plays that have been hit over the top. And honestly, the Ole Miss game is a completely different game if they hit that shot to Mingo that was wide open. And ironically, Wingo's pressure up the middle helped force an overthrow there. So, for me, Blake, the LSU secondary is going to have to be phenomenal. But look, I know a lot of people watch my channel for advanced breakdowns, and we could break down Greg Penn this and special teams that. But honestly, to beat Alabama, just like you said a minute ago, Blake, and you do a really good job of this, it's going to come down to Jaden. He's going to have it's just that simple, right? Zach Calzada played the best game of his life last year, and they beat Alabama. Well, it's because Zach Calzada played the best game of his life, right?
And Carter, he was flawless, right? He was flawless.
And Hendon Hooker obviously was, that was the best quarterback performance probably of the year. And that's what it takes to beat Alabama. And this is the toughest thing, right? And I brought this up on Golden Boot last night. I'll bring it up here. Shout out Pooh Bear and everybody. But what you have to do as an LSU fan is whenever you watch a game, if you're going to start comparing what Jaden has done versus what can work versus Alabama, one thing that we know Jaden's going to be able to do is run someone Alabama. We know he's going to be able to scramble. We know LSU's going to get some zone read shots. A Saban defense is always going to be open to a mobile quarterback. But what concerns me a little bit, Blake, is let's take the touchdown ball to Dre Jenkins that, Dre made an amazing play to come back to.
Alabama's not going to allow that.
That's not a shot that's going to work. Now, it was a tougher throw because it wasn't that he was looking left and just waited forever. Let's say another big play in the game, the dump off to Mason Taylor that went for 30-plus yards, okay? The Alabama defenders aren't going to miss that tackle in that spot. That allowed Mason Taylor to – and it was a good play. Don't get it twisted. So, Jaden's going to have to make some big-time throws like he did versus Florida, which were tighter window, tougher throws because – the zone read stuff isn't going to be as effective more than likely as it was against Ole Miss. And the second thing, Blake, is this really is one of the first games where you as a true freshman, you're playing against guys that are going to make millions of dollars at the next level.
Agreed.
So someone brought up a really good question to Brian Kelly today. I don't remember who, but whoever does deserves a shout out.
You're welcome.
One big thing is going to be the chipping, right? It's Mason Taylor and Josh Williams.
Yeah, I think it was Dilly Sanders. Dilly Sanders at 247 Sports. Yeah.
Shout out the young gun, man. Chipping is going to be absolutely huge as far as protection is concerned because, I trust Emory Jones. I trust Will Campbell, but, before the
Dallas Turner and Will Anderson.
It's just that, those guys are going to play in the NFL for a long time. So, Josh Williams going to have to be big. And honestly, Blake, the biggest transition in the Ole Miss game wasn't Jaden. It wasn't anyone else other than Mason Taylor. If he's huge, that is huge for, LSU to beat Alabama because when LSU actually beat Alabama in 2019, it was Thaddeus Moss who was wonderful for LSU in that spot. So when you play these good teams, you got to have great tight end play as well.
Here's another thing, Carter. Well, I'm going to get to Tug's question next. Excuse me. Teams that have been able to go vertical in the slot or, as you mentioned, tight end, whether it's been Pete Golden at Southeastern, whether it's been Nick Saban against Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, they kill you. Okay? Pete will never admit this. He hates elite wide receivers in the slot, meaning look, Chase is going to get his. You got to stop Jets. That was their game plan. They damn near shadowed him the whole game. right, with a safety. My point is, you're going to have another good game from Kayshawn. Like, this is it. This is it. That's to add to Mason Taylor. Tug asked this question, though. He says, and sends us $4.99 via Super Chat. Thank you, Tug. Says, I don't usually think about transitive properties. The worry I have is how close Bama played Tennessee. Does LSU have it in them to play all 4 quarters? I don't know. I will say, Carter, they have the ability to play all 4 quarters because they have the conditioning. The problem for me in that question is they cannot start off slow. If LSU starts off slow, they're going to get destroyed.
I agree. And one thing I will say, okay, is Nick has not been as sharp as this year. Okay, I'm just being as honest as I possibly can, and I've been very critical of Nick because
pressing. Would you agree with that? He's kind of pressing a little.
He is, and I also think, off the field, he has been the rat poison that he talks about. He is a hypocrite when it comes to that because the 2 biggest distraction stories this year in the SEC, the fight with Jimbo Fisher and Prime, was Nick. He started it. The Jermaine Burton situation that they're going through right now, it's on Nick. Nick, if you would have sat him out versus Mississippi State, no one would be talking about the Jermaine Burton story right now. Nick has not put out off the field fires. In fact, he's been the one that started them. But take away off the field stuff, on field coaching, in terms of special teams, Alabama has made some big special teams mistakes on the road this year.
Tennessee game on its head.
The muff punt, and then obviously the Arkansas game, they made 2 massive special teams errors, one of which is entirely on the head coach, which was not playing proper onside kick depth versus a team that was down by 2 possessions. So it's idiotic. You always play for the onside kick in that spot. So it's nuts to me that Saban, of course, is a liability, right? It's crazy to think that, but he has been, right? There's been some games where he has not coached the absolute best, and he could not figure out what Tennessee was doing. Honestly, nobody can right now, but the simple truth is this. If you're Brian Kelly, you feel and hope that he doesn't treat this game any bigger than it actually is, right? Just go out there, be yourself, coach as well as you've coached in these last couple of games. And I think nobody on this planet Earth wants to beat Nick Saban more than Brian Kelly this weekend.
Agreed.
And in essence, it actually becomes bigger than LSU Alabama to Brian Kelly. This is huge for him to get.
It's Brian Kelly versus Nick. It's him versus Nick.
And I know BK will say, well, it's not that, but BK's a historian of the game, right? Don't you think it itches at him personally that he's not beaten the best coach ever? And a lot of other people have. Brian wants this one really, really, really badly. So, I really hope BK coaches as well as he's coached his last couple of games. Obviously, the adjustments that you have astutely pointed out on this channel have been unbelievable, honestly. And I hope BK outcoaches Nick and we get a dub.
I want to get to another point, but you brought up something I can't ignore. Carter, LSU has gotten so much better from that Tennessee game. It's obvious. It's all on coaching. The one thing you and I think in our private conversations didn't account for is just how good of a coach he is. I will say this. I don't know about you, but to me, today was the most locked in I'd ever seen him. Like, he was as sharp and as to the point, and just and what's funny, if you notice, it was the longest press conference he's ever done at LSU this week.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, I went back and looked at it. I was like, man, this is going way too long, because usually it's 15, 20 minutes. Today it was 25 and almost 26 minutes. And I'm like, oh, so BK, he made it point because he wants it. I will say this: he can't overdo it, though. It's going to be him versus him as much as him versus Nick. He's going to have more times in this one, and it's why he comes to LSU, because I think he knows he couldn't get the athletes at LSU. Everybody hit the like and share for us. We greatly appreciate it. Carter, I'm going to get your thoughts on Tennessee, Georgia in just a quick second, but I do got to ask you this. One thing that I think that nobody's going to account for, and I'm using the humanality of this question. I don't think this is going to affect Bryce Young. I ultimately don't think it's going to affect Will Anderson. The crowd is going to play a factor in a young team. They thought Tennessee was loud. Wait till Saturday. It's going to be wrong. how much does that play a factor in you when you're breaking down games? Like, does it ever come into your forefront or your mind like, hey, man, they already went to Tennessee, and I know they have experience there now, but, man, I mean, they play timid against Tennessee at times. How do you factor that in?
Well, Blake, I'm going to go to the position that you know better than almost anyone. The offensive line.
Brother.
Yeah, and that affects your quarterback, obviously. I did for those that want to go see it, I did a 30-minute breakdown on Bryce Young and what I like and what I dislike from the Alabama offense. And one thing that I pointed out in the tape, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you can go look at it yourself, that they struggle with crowd noise, their offensive line, right? And getting out of their stance. Yeah.
Texas and Tennessee, Carter. I mean, twice.
And what's interesting is obviously Bama's offensive line is filled with, 5 stars. And obviously the best transfer was Steen, a guy that LSU really wanted. It's worked out. Okay. But what's interesting to me, Blake, and once again, it's very anecdotal, right? And the Alabama expert can just, come in and just say I'm an idiot about this. But I do think faster athletic ends have given those tackles a tougher time than your traditional defensive end, if you will. So what does that mean? Harold Perkins. And, what's interesting, so Tennessee's number 33, their linebacker, experienced guy. He's got a Harold Perkins build, right? He's a really good player for them. And he had some really good rushes versus Steen. And he's not, your typical, rush in, and it worked, right? So I would put Perk in that spot as many times as I possibly can, rushing, Bryce Young's blind side to see what you can get out of it. And one thing I'll say about Tennessee's offensive line is they are really good at blocking stunts, but they did struggle to run the football a lot versus Mississippi State. And
didn't they have correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they have 20 rushing yards? Like, it was abysmal, right?
Less than 2 yards per carry, under 40 yards. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Insane.
And Mississippi State's defense, as you pointed out, Blake, is very underrated. They're a good group. And look, the simple truth is this, right? This offensive line for Alabama has struggled to run block. The key, though, is Gibbs. Gibbs makes a lot of things happen on his own. And Blake, I'm typically very harsh on running backs. Like, I don't like to say
no.
I just am. There's not many running backs that really do move the needle, right? It's more of a product of what's around you, right? He's one of those guys that breaks a lot of tackles. If something's not there, he'll figure something out. He's really good at
getting to the outside. He's the best in the country at doing it.
It's unreal.
I'm sorry.
It's unreal. Honestly, it's very Kamara-esque. So, it's a different challenge than, and guys like Najee was a plotter, Trent was a plotter, Derrick Henry was a plotter. Now they'll make you miss, but Jameer is very swift, right? He's a very, very, very good back. So hopefully LSU will be ready to go. Jason McClellan, their backup's also a decent back as well. So we'll see. But, you look at Alabama secondary, they can be had. They can, especially at the safety position. And, obviously, that's what you tweeted out earlier, the Elias Ricks thing. Don't you think the LSU receivers would like the opportunity to Jamar versus Trevon Diggs have a posterization opportunity? I am visualizing it now, Blake. Bryant Thomas Jr. is going to be the person that does it this year, hopefully.
Well, look, so I'm going to say this, and I know what's going to happen when I say it, but it's the truth because I got video of it. Brian Thomas Jr. used to give, and you know this because I think I showed you the video. Brian Thomas Jr. used to give Eli Ricks all kinds of fits. Speed, physicality. Again, it was ridiculous. Pooh Bear, I think, said that Bama had points and 29 rushing yards. That's insane.
That's crazy.
29 rushing yards against State is insane. The thing is, though, is it's very difficult to block what they do, or 30. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. We do have a question here from Hit Stick Productions 499 via Super Chat. Thank you, Hit Stick. Says, do you guys think the lack of execution from Alabama is a sign of things to come, or will this year ultimately just be a blip on the radar? Here's my thing about Saban. It's my same thing about Dabo. It's my same thing about Kirby. Guys, I'm not going to overreact to one loss, and I'm not going to overreact if they lose Saturday night. They're a very, very, very young team. on both sides of the football. No, Carter, not for me. It's not a sign of things to come. Not for me. I can't speak for you.
No, they're Alabama. No.
Right.
I trust Andy. As much as the gazillion of viewers that you have, I want them to lose and fall apart, but it's not going to happen. Come on.
Not right now. It's going to take more than 1 year for it to fall.
I mean, look, not to get too much into recruiting. I don't like to get too much into recruiting during the year anyway, but the Julian saying thing's going to happen, pretty soon. And look, it's 5 stars.
If people don't know, Julian Saint's a 5-star quarterback from California.
Yeah, and look, I just think the world of what Saban has done there. What happened?
I just had my first drunk trick-or-treater.
Drunk trick-or-treater?
Yeah.
What did they do?
He reeked of that. He was dressed as Twisted Tea, drink.
What is he doing?
And then he had a Twisted Tea in his
my
hand.
God.
Yeah,
and then he said, "Hey, you want me to get you one from the car?" And
well, do I need to go out there? And
I said, "No,
right.
I don't want you to get me a Twisted Tea because I have plenty of ranch water."
I will gladly give. I will gladly give
That
Twisted
is the
Tea.
whitest thing I've ever heard in my life. It is the most Arkansas white woman thing. Snap, I went to Harry Snell's thing I've ever heard in my life.
And he was barefoot. I'm done.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't leave me for him.
And he had gray in his beard, babe.
Yeah, gray in his beard.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with gray in the beard. I got gray in my beard.
And I gave him 2 pieces of candy. I'm done.
There you go.
Mic drop. Don't worry about it. Y'all's show will be terrible.
Oh my God.
That was the best part of the show.
Twisted Tea.
And I'm out. Goodbye.
Carter, I really thought you were going to say, I'll give you a Twisted Tea. That's what I thought you were going to say.
The night is still young.
All right. Last question. We'll get you out of here. God,
No, take your time. I didn't.
One episode, and look what happens.
I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know Twisted Tea.
I mean, we had Limited Twang. What did we have last week? What did she come in and say last week?
Dude, I don't know. She'll barge into any.
She said something. What did she say? God, I forgot. Anyway, and then this.
I know. I have no idea.
I said I got me a ranch water. Oh, last week was somebody broke their elbow.
Well, I broke their elbow.
Remember, you were outside the haunted house. You were outside the hospital.
Oh no, yeah, but her sister had her though she had Tommy John surgery.
Okay.
But yeah,
I've never in my life. It's the whitest thing I've ever heard. Ranch water. I didn't even know there's such thing as ranch water. All right, last one. Let's get to Georgia and Tennessee. Carter, I don't think Georgia's got it in them. I don't. Like I don't think they can score enough. This is me. I got to see somebody slow them down. Because look, Bama didn't slow down. Georgia didn't slow down Alabama last year. What are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that they can slow them down? What's slowing them down? They're not going to stop them.
So look, Blake, here's what I'll say about this, right? So personally, you know who I want to win this game, right?
Yeah, nobody.
No. Honestly, I'd want Tennessee to win, right? Because on your show and every show that I've done, what did I say before the year? Because remember, before the year, you said, I don't think Tennessee has enough to beat Georgia. But look what you're saying now, right? So here's what's funny. Here's what's funny about it. I personally want Tennessee to win because it makes you look super smart.
Yeah, it makes you look like a genius.
Right. And I went on every show that I possibly could and said, Tennessee is the real deal this year. They are the real freaking deal. And, some of your viewers send me messages. Hey, what are you smoking? Whatever.
I remember.
But you could make a strong case they're the best team in America, especially the way their defense plays.
They are the best. I put them number 1 in our belief poll.
I believed in them. Now, what's really interesting.
Oh, you
is-
said believed, like past tense.
I still do. But what's really interesting is, Power Hour SEC, a lot of Tennessee fans, like I mentioned last week, they hate me. They freaking hate me for whatever reason. They think I'm an Alabama fan because I did one video about that game. But here's what's really interesting is Georgia, even though they allowed Florida to creep back into the game, that was a really good performance by Georgia, but not a great performance by Stetson Bennett. He looked disheveled. He did a lot of this during the game. There were some communication
Disheveled,
issues.
I like that word.
And honestly, my two favorite Heisman bets before the year, Blake, was Hendon Hooker and Stetson Bennett before the year to win Heisman. And honestly, I think neither one of them deserve it as much as Brock Bowers does right now for them and what he's doing for
that catch on the sidelines was ridiculous.
And his blocking has gotten better, which is really freaking scary. And I want Tennessee to win because obviously, SEC East, it's going to happen, right? My future bets work, but I am leaning towards Georgia because I thought they did look really good this past weekend versus Florida. But I want Tennessee to win badly because.
Do you think they win?
I think Georgia's going to win. I do. I think Georgia's going to be able to run on him some, Blake. And I just think, that spot for them, they're used to being in this big of a spot. And I think they're going to be able to take care of business in Athens. Also, something else that is very interesting about Georgia in this spot for me, Blake. And then, I wrote it down right here. Let me see. Let me make sure. Oh, yeah. How often does Georgia play a big home game like this one? It's rare. It's very rare. Okay.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of teams in the East that go there. The last one I can think was when Bama. I think Bama went to Georgia during COVID.
So
am I right? Am I right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Georgia,
with no fans, Carter, with no fans.
Georgia doesn't have a great home slate. Their next 2 years home slate are going to be bad. This fan base is going to be at a different level. And look, there's a lot that I like what Tennessee's doing. I love Josh Heupel, but I'm leaning dogs for right now. Even though Tennessee had their best performance of the year this past weekend versus Kentucky, I just think Georgia's gonna be able to run on them some, and I think Georgia will win. Now, I hate it because that goes against my preseason prediction. So in my heart, I want Tennessee to win, but I think right now Georgia's gonna win. I do.
All right. So what happens to Tennessee if they lose and they win out the rest of the season?
I think, for me, Blake, you want LSU to win if you're Georgia. Sorry, no, if you're Tennessee. If right when Georgia beats Tennessee this weekend, if it does happen, I think it's going to be close. It's going to, come down to a field goal kick or whatever. You need LSU to win. And, you want to play.
Or would you need Bama to win?
I think you would,
because Carter, if Bama wins and they win out and they beat Georgia, Carter, I'm sorry. There is no way and humanly possible that you can convince me that Tennessee's better than or Clemson's better than Tennessee. You can't do it. There's nobody in the pack, and TCU's a fraud. They're a fraud. I'm sorry. They just are. They're not going to be any team in the SEC of those top three teams. Carter, if Alabama wins out and beats Georgia in the SEC title game, three teams in the SEC deserve to be in the playoff. And this is making the college football expansion people hard.
Very happy.
Pause. But tell me I'm wrong. Is Clemson better than Tennessee? Yes or no?
No. Clemson and Georgia. Yeah. Clemson and Georgia are the two best teams in America right now. No, Tennessee and Georgia are the two best teams in America right now. But what I will say is this: if LSU does beat Alabama, okay, and they go to the SEC championship game and they lose to Georgia, then Tennessee is going to get in, right? Because Tennessee will be a one-loss team, especially if they lose a close one to Georgia on the road, right? So that would be the best case scenario for Tennessee. You want because Georgia and a neutral field versus LSU in the SEC championship game. It's a tough spot for LSU, obviously. But
They've done it before.
They've done it before, plenty of times. But I do think if you're Tennessee, you want LSU to win out because Georgia versus LSU will be for LSU to get into the playoff.
Because you don't want Alabama to upset Georgia and those two teams get back into the playoff. You want right. I see what you're saying. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. We will see you next week. Go drink some ranch water. How about that?
Man, ranch waters are just they're not it.
They sound disgusting. Benjamin, I'm coming.
No, all right, buddy. Cheers.
Later, dude. It's Carter Bryant. All right, let's wrap this show up. Let's talk about our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm. We're back in 45 seconds to close it out. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. So I can't stay long. Oh, my God. Breaking news from Arkansas. Film breakdown genius arrested for beating up Twisted Tea guy. All right, Ben, why are you naked? Oh my gosh. Hey, do you have a new sister? What's her name?
Bejul.
Bejul. Bejul. You see Pooh Bear down there?
Yeah.
All right. You want to go take a bath?
Yeah.
All right, let's go take a bath. All right. Daddy duties are calling. We'll see y'all tomorrow night. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Go get your rear end in that tub. Later.